Hey, como estas, bitches? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you guys for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button because I would appreciate that as well, and it helps out the channel tremendously. On to today's topic, and don't be surprised when you see a little bit more of this kind of thing popping up the closer we get to the Xbox Scorpio launch. And surprise, surprise, it's going to be a lot of these indie, smaller developers who have like a tight relationship with Sony, and they want to see Sony succeed no matter what. And you're going to see this from the media as well. And woo, I tell you what, man, I had me a hell of a conversation, quote unquote, with some media types on Twitter the other day, and it was just pretty funny to kind of get the actual, you know, clarification that they are biased. You know, they don't try to hide it. They're not objective, and they don't claim to be objective. So yeah, but I digress. That's a different topic. Just going back to this one, so there is this developer who said, and he develops this game called Metronomicon, and he's talking about the PS4 Pro versus the Xbox Scorpio and the power difference, and he says it doesn't make an extreme concrete difference. And he also actually talked a bit about whether the mid-gen refreshes are going to be something that happens later on down the road as well, and he does kind of think that that's going to be the trending tide, and I think it could be too. It depends on how well these things do, to be honest with you. So I will link this article in the description. You guys can check it out. Here it goes. This is pretty much what it says. At this point, we know that the Xbox Scorpio is a complete overhaul of the original Xbox One hardware, a beast that has seen a refresh from the ground up. This is a stark contrast with Sony's more conservative upgrade for the PS4 with the PS4 Pro. Sony opted for a more iterative upgrade, which also means that unlike the Scorpio, the Pro has to resort to trickery and shortcuts, like checkerboarding rendering to achieve the illusion of 4K. I actually love that they're being pretty honest in this article so far, saying that the Pro needs all kinds of trickery and things like that. Was it then a mistake on Sony's part to have released the Pro so early? Should they perhaps have waited and released hardware that was ultimately as accomplished as Scorpio's is? Should they have opted for a full overhaul like Microsoft did? This is the question that this particular article, Gaming Bolt by the way, decided to ask Danny Garfield, the head of Pube, currently working on the Metronomicon. Yeah, so this is what he had to say. He said, personally, I don't think it'll make an extreme concrete difference. Most users care in practice generally. Does it work? Does it look good? Can I play it? The nuance of frame rate and resolution, while discussed a ton among enthusiasts, I don't think phases a casual gamer, even a core gamer who isn't also a tech guy. But I do want to kind of point out this. Maybe in the past, right? That's old school thinking. I think that new school thinking is that we as a society upgrade our phones regularly. Even if we don't know the tech inside, it's the latest and greatest and we have to have it. I think that the thought is, anyway, that they're going to do the same thing with consoles going forward, and that kind of makes sense. Whether or not you agree or will buy them or not, I don't think that matters. I just think that people in general are more attuned to this kind of thing nowadays, right? So if you look at these old, you know, earlier in the generation, there was surveys of thousands and thousands of people that said, what's your reason for picking a PS4 or an Xbox One or a Wii U? Why would you pick these? And the number one reason for people picking their specific console, which happened to be the PS4 mostly, was higher resolutions and more power. So we know for a fact that that is a thing that people actually care about. So this developer is kind of damage controlling when he says that there's not going to be a concrete difference, because there is a concrete difference between using 4K assets and 4K textures and things like that and not using it. You know, like games can look good. Like, you know, I think that Drive Club is a racing game that looks good, but when you see that Forza 6 with the 4K textures and assets, that looked amazing, right? Huge difference. Huge difference. You know, you can look at a game like Uncharted 4 or Horizon Zero Dawn and they look good, but imagine what games are going to look like on the Xbox Scorpio with those 4K textures and assets and you know, more lighting and effects and things like that. Obviously, there's going to be a huge contrast there. Now, maybe for a smaller game dev like this, maybe there won't be a huge difference, but for big AAA games, absolutely there's going to be a huge difference. But again, like I said, expect more of this kind of stuff, trying to discredit the Scorpio and the Advantage as we get closer to the launch. So Let me know what you guys think. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer out.